What is up? Been messing with my Frankenforged number 43 S35VN, top-notch steel. Uh, Japanese Tonto, slight curve, beautiful, beautiful milling on the blade. I just have such appreciation for this guy. And at 19 years old, maybe he's 20 now actually. I hope his name's Frank, but I just saw one of his custom blades on Instagram, and it is just phenomenal looking. It's a it looks just like my. Sorry, there was just something in my closet that poked its head out, and I'm not even fucking joking. Anyways, but it looks like my Angel from Atropos, and it had like acid etching. I wish I knew the guy personally who got it, because I want one. Like, just such a good looking knife. Oh my god, man. What else did I want to talk to you guys about? Feelings. If you're a guy and you feel left out of, if you're like third wheeling a lot, if you're like me and you are very smooth, I've always been told I'd be a good salesman. I think that's just a nice way of saying I'm a bullshitter, but I've learned that you catch more bees with honey than vinegar, and anybody that knows me personally knows that I was a piece of shit for a very long time. And one of the main things that keeps me going is when I think of my daughter, and I want her to be proud of me, you know? I'm proud of me, but I'm also still working on loving myself. So getting me to listen to me is hard enough as it is, let's be real. And it's just one of those things where I try to love and respect everybody from the jump, but it's like a day and age where you can't even do that. You have to be brutal, you know? Like, you want to trust in people, but that's what got you here in the first place, you know? You opened yourself up to new experiences, made yourself vulnerable, and that's what got you here in the first place. It makes you, it's a very disheartening feeling to put in effort and not see a return on it. And sometimes it has to do with bad timing. Sometimes it has to do with you needing to grow. And in order to grow, like, the best way that I look at it is not every day is going to be easy. In fact, most days for me are dog shit. Absolute dog shit, man. And that's just the reality of this game, you know? If you want to keep playing, you have to be able to motivate yourself, because you're not always going to have people there to motivate you or say, hey man, you know, you got this, just buck up, you know, just keep fighting the good fight. My family supports me. They probably still have no idea what the fuck they're supporting, but even reassuring them is like very, very tedious. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that I've burned everybody in my family multiple times. You know, the fact that people call me on my birthday is like cool, but you know, especially now, like that shit that I used to take for granted a lot, because up until about this year I was living to die. And I don't know if anybody makes sense of that, or if that maths for you, but most of the jobs that I do, I only take because of the danger aspect in them. And don't let that eyebrow lift fool you. That's just like the shit that I'm into. Doesn't mean that you have to chase that kind of stuff, you know? I've always liked dangerous stuff. That's why I got involved in like gangs and shit early on. Like, you're going to attract certain people in life. The older you get, you're going to attract less and less of the kind that you want. And it's up to you to differentiate and separate yourself from the good and the bad. But ultimately, only you can make those choices to determine what you want to get out of life. If somebody that you meet is gorgeous, just drop dead gorgeous. And when you look at them, you're like, man, I could look at that all day, all life even. And in your head, you're already like picking out a venue. You know, you're like, man, I'm gonna wife this chick. That's cool to have goals, you know, but not everybody is gonna be where you're at in your journey. And that's been my hardest thing, is like, if I feel I'm accomplishing something, I'm not used to getting rewarded unless it's from myself. You know, my trainer is almost $500. Yes. Ooh, just bitch slapped my cell phone. Yeah. When you guys see me flip this and I'm like, oh shit, I do that on purpose, because if I'm flipping this like it's a trainer, I wouldn't be landing shit. I need that danger aspect. I need to think, oh, when I flick somebody off, it's just gonna fall off next time. And that's not to any of you guys, obviously, just an example. And eventually you'll be able to flip things like this the same way, and I do. In fact, it gets problematic a lot because I forget that I'm using sharp fucking knives half the time. I just get so caught up in the fact that I'm like, wow, this is just a good feeling. You know, like getting tricks that I'm not used to. One thing that I will say about this, if you guys look, this side here, that ball is higher than this one. Same up here. Only thing that I wish that I saw more of from Frankenforge is just a little bit better QA. QC, you know, quality. And you can even tell down here, it's slightly off. This side's shorter, this side's bigger. If you're spending $300 on a knife, if you're spending $150 on a knife, that's entirely too much for a knife. That is like my top, okay? Anything over $150, I'm like, you're crazy. When you get into this, you're not gonna wanna get out of it, because you're gonna see a new knife, you're gonna have the best of the best. And then you're gonna see another one and you're like, fuck, I don't have enough knives in my collection. And that's kind of where I'm at. The reason I started this channel is to reach people. I started this channel because, whether I want to realize it or not, I needed friends. And when I moved out to Wisconsin from Illinois, I didn't. That's half the reason I moved out here, was to start a family and you know, leave all the riffraff behind. And I can't tell you how much I miss my Illinois family, blood and not, because there's people that, you know, you just have connections with where you can just be yourself. And when I'm with my friend Eddie and Kevin, I don't have to be under the influence of anything. You know, we're so used to getting screwed up when we're younger. You know, it's like normalized. So when we're in our late 20s, early 30s, and we're like, fuck, man, why do I need to do this or do that in order to be happy or social? It's like, well, you started that in high school, and now you're an addict. Now you need to get a sponsor. You need to follow 12 steps. I am a perfect example that and mind you, I'm not saying don't use the 12 steps, because I've used them before for other addictions that I had, and they did work. I never finished any of them, just because that seemed like a whole lot to just, I got to do all of this and quit this. And sometimes that's what it takes, you know? Not everybody's going to be like me, awesome and great all the time. For now. But one thing that we all have in common is each other. When you're here, if you need somebody to listen to you, hit me up on any social media platform and you will have an ear. And the reason that I do that is because I didn't have that when I needed it, and when I needed it, I didn't want it. So, being stubborn, just being prideful, like, I'm at an age where I could walk away from anything. These knives that I have I mean, mind you, there's quite a lot. Ugh. Quite a lot. But that didn't happen overnight. Starts with one. One isn't enough. One is too many, and 1,000 is never enough. Me personally, I'd rather be addicted to balisongs than opiates, alcohol, any of that stuff. And that's not to say that I'll never drink again. You know, I had a beer with dinner with my buddies Eddie and Kevin. You know, got out of jail, went and got a burger. Had 2 beers, actually. And not everybody can do that. Some people get that first beer and they're like, all right, time to get some cocaine and some heroin, you know. Luckily, I never got to that point. Everybody has their ups and downs. We're all in this together. The best advice I can give you, as always, is get comfortable being uncomfortable. If you feel like shit, guess what? Nobody is gonna give a fuck. And it sucks to say, because when I feel down and out, I wish somebody was like, I'm gonna check on Matt. And you know what I do with people that do that? Honest to God. And I've had people that have done that my whole life. But you know what I chose to do instead? Hey Matt, how you doing? I've noticed your posts on Facebook are a little weird. I'm like, oh, you don't say. That's strange. I can't imagine why I'd be posting craziness. Unless I'm having like a manic episode, or, you know, like, again, people have their ups and downs. Sorry, it's probably like, why the fuck is this guy wearing a flannel? Because it's a little windy out there, and I just went for a walk. So that's something else that I do. I go for like nightly walks now, and it helps significantly. It's weird too, because where I walk, I used to take my daughter a lot when she was a baby, and it's bittersweet. It reminds me of better times when I had less to stress over. And I think when my daughter was born, not that I ever blame her and ever will blame her for anything, because she is perfection, and I'm so grateful to have such a good kid. She can be a handful, but I mean, when she sees me, you know, once a week, she's always excited. You know, and I always worry that I'm not going to be enough for her. You know, I'm like just getting back on my feet and shit, essentially. And it's like I'm always worrying about everybody else. And I've always been like that. And it's a good feature to have, but it's when you need to worry about you, you need to worry about you. And it took me a little bit to kind of prioritize stuff. And it's still not easy. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in a month. It might not even happen in a year. Don't give up this journey because there's roadblocks, because there's always going to be roadblocks. You can bust your ass. You can be on an oil rig making millions, okay? The money is good. Money is always going to bring you some form of happiness. It's always going to make your life a little easier. But if you have a good soul and you know how to treat people before you even come into money, you're already rich. And that's something that I wish that I realized at a younger age. My dad has always busted his ass, and he has been such an important role model in my life. I'm going to try not to get too emotional here. But I feel like everybody's dad is kind of like their superhero at the end of the day. And to see him, you know, get old, it makes me realize that there's so much advice that I let go in one ear and out the other that now I'm actually willing to listen to. So, sorry, this is just kind of me rambling. I just haven't really had a sit-down talk with with all of you. MazFam, Instagram, Facebook people, whoever you may be. I appreciate you watching, supporting. I just try to be a positive influence because I know that as a creator, it's not just adults watching my content. There are kids flipping ballad songs that are freaking way better than me. And that hurts my soul. Makes me want to just say, I hate everybody and I quit and I want to go home. It's not that easy. I mean, it is that easy. You can just give up. That's probably the easiest thing a man can do, is give up. The hardest thing a man can do is face adversity, look it in the fucking eye, and say, I'm still here. I'm not going anywhere. And, you know, for better or worse, you know, I'm gonna keep trucking. When all the odds are against you, you're doing something right. God does not send battles to weak warriors. If you're struggling, it's because you're great. And that struggle you're going through might not even be the last one you're gonna go through. In fact, I'm willing to bet if you're around my age, 32 and a half, almost 33, you probably got a lot more hardships to go through. Don't let social media cloud you or clown you. I mean, again, you can look all right and have nothing upstairs. Looks fade. Real connections last. And that's what life is about. Making real, meaningful connections. Meeting people that you can rely on, that can rely on you. At the drop of a dime. And, like I said, man, I appreciate everybody that's been here for the good, the bad, the worst, and now the best, you know. I haven't been uploading as much just because I've been kind of down and out and just, like, going through a time of depression, I guess. And that's usually when I have these, like, you know, longer videos where it's just me babbling, hoping people get something from it, you know, just because I know I'm not the only person that has hardships. If I was, then I'd be crazy, and I'm not. I'm not crazy. Not yet, at least. Ay, Dios mío. Anyways, yeah, I don't speak Spanish except for all the bad stuff. Anyways, it's always super nice to get positive feedback. Like, when you guys say I am the spy, that is why we do it. And I'm not even that good. I've got aerials for days. Now I've got the Z choker, but I need to get the in-between finger flipping in so that way people can't clown me as bad. Oh, and if you're on Instagram and you don't like that I only have 90 followers, when you started, did you have millions? Probably not. And if you're gonna try and roast me, guess what? I'm gonna tell you the color of your grandma's brassiere, because I know it. Tiffany blue, bitch. That's right. Pull it and pop it, and then I drop it, just like that bad hip. Yeah. Sorry, I had to do it to him. Anyways, love you guys. Be smooth. Oh, and most importantly, stay sharp. Kick ass. You got this. If I can do it, you can do it. And that says a lot, okay?